everybody. My name is Ari. I am the Communication Associate for Mothering Justice. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our third episode of Mama Wire Live. We're so happy to have you here. For those who are here for the first time, Mama Wire Live is Mothering Justice's monthly video series. Here we aim to inform you all on the latest updates on U.S. policy and politics centering on the needs of mamas of color all around the country. If you're not familiar with Mothering Justice, we are a national Black woman led social justice nonprofit based in Detroit, Michigan, that empowers mothers of color to advocate for better U.S. policies and laws on behalf of themselves and their families on a local, state, and federal level. So, tonight we have a great show in store for you guys as we focus on reproductive justice, which is a super hot topic around our country right now. So we'll have a few policy updates for you. Then we'll transition over to our Mama's Agenda item of the day, which will be a conversation with our maternal health and reproductive justice organizer, Chanel. We will then transition to our Mama Influencer Corner with both Chanel and influencer Randy Rosario Maples. So stay tuned. You guys do not want to miss out on a great show. Now, let's get started. First, I want to say Happy Pride Month. This month has been crazy, but we hope everyone in the LGBTQ community has had a wonderful June celebrating who they are and whom they love. This month, our country highlights years of struggles for civil rights and equal justice for the LGBTQ community, as well as their many, many accomplishments. So happy Pride Month. Next, let's get into the BET Awards. I'm sure y'all were watching and saw that everybody was coming for the Supreme Court, as they should. We heard from Taraji, Janelle Monáe, Jasmine Sullivan, and Kendrick Lamar. And this is what Taraji had to say. She says, "It's about damn time we talk about the fact that guns have more rights than a woman. It's a sad day in America. A weapon that can take lives has more power than a woman who can give life if she chooses to. And it's about time I got that off my chest." So we 100% agree with Taraji and are so happy that she chose to use such a big platform to say her piece. It was definitely needed. And now that leads directly to our federal update. Now, as many of us know, last Friday, the Supreme Court officially announced their reversal of Roe v. Wade. Although, the draft was leaked and we had a bit of warning that this was coming, nothing could truly prepare us, of course, for the emotions we all felt knowing that they just put, mothers' lives at risk, specifically mothers of color. Unfortunately, half of the states in the U.S. pose immediate complete bans on abortion, but we want to let you know where our country currently stands state by state. So as you can see on the graph, states like Alaska, Washington, and the bulk of the northeastern states still have abortion completely legal, and 9 times out of 10, or really 10 times out of 10, it's going to stay that way. Then, of course, you have the red states where immediate bans took effect or severe restrictions were listed, like, you had to know or get an abortion before 6 weeks of pregnancy, which we know is crazy because most people don't know that they're pregnant by 6 weeks. But I digress. And then lastly, we have our swing states where abortion is legal, but with upcoming elections happening, that legal standing can change. So with that, we want to transfer it over to our Michigan State update. Let's start with our Mama's March recap. It was hot as heck on June 15th, but nonetheless, the mamas came out and showed out. We had some amazing speakers from our Mama Biz to our legislators who have continuously supported mothering justice. So we want to thank you so much again, everyone, for traveling to the Capitol with us that day. We greatly appreciated your attendance and support this year. Now for the state update, we're going to go back to talking about the Roe v. Wade overturning. We want to let our mamas know that abortion is still legal in Michigan. Fortunately, Big Gretch has been advocating for it to remain legal and for the injunction issued by the Michigan Court of Claims. So we want our mamas to know that you definitely still have access to abortion care as of today. Next, Mothering Justice has some events coming up in July. First, we have our Plants to Policy event, where you can join us to learn some basic tips about gardening and self-care while making policy change. We will then have our care event on July 26th, where we'll come together and discuss what the most pressing issues are for mamas of color with children with disabilities. Tongue twist. You can register for both of these events by visiting our website, motheringjustice.org. Now, it's time to transition to our agenda item of the day. I want to welcome our Black Maternal Health and Reproductive Justice organizer, Chanel, to the live.
Hey.
Hey, Chanel, how are you today?
I'm good. How you doing, Ari?
I'm good. It's hot today, but we're making it through.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we're so happy to have you today. I want to open the floor to you to tell us a little bit more about yourself and about what reproductive justice really is and really means.
Hey, everybody. I am Chanel Bennett. I am the Black Maternal Health and Reproductive Justice organizer at Mothering Justice in Detroit. And for those that aren't familiar with what reproductive justice is, in so many words, it's the right to have a child, the right to not have a child, and if you do decide to have a child, to be able to raise them in a healthy, equitable environment. So, clean water, housing, affordable housing, having childcare, having time off to spend with your child and be able to recover. Even goes into environmental changes and things like that. That is what reproductive justice is in short.
Okay, we're so happy that you clarified that for us. So, what would you say Mothering Justice is doing in response to the Roe v. Wade reversal?
So, in response to the Roe v. Wade overturn, Mother and Justice is continuing their work to always have mothers of color at the forefront of the conversation and of every issue. So, we are continuing to support people who decide to have full autonomy over their bodies and full autonomy over their decision making. We have continued to reach out to all of our partners. Today, I spoke with Northland Family Planning Center. They are still servicing people at all of their locations, and then we have another amazing partner, the the YWCA, excuse me, in Kalamazoo, who has a fund and are still helping people with the financial strains of obtaining abortions.
Perfect. We're happy to know that that is still happening. So, what can you say we should expect to see happen to mamas of color specifically as a result of the overturning of it?
So for mamas of color, this is like a very intersectional issue that affects us in different spaces and for different reasons. One thing you will definitely see is an increase in, unfortunately, in Black maternal and infant mortality rates. They will go up, unfortunately, and I hate to say that, but that is something that we will see. We will also see more mothers of color um, under criminalization of miscarriages, stillbirths, infertility treatments, emergency contraceptives, ectopic pregnancies, and other health related issues around reproductive health. You will also, unfortunately, see an increase in more maternal mental health and postpartum challenges because Black people in general are already predisposed to certain social determinants of health. So, we must remember that for mothers of color, that our RJ issues are not about money or education, but it's really solely about racially biased system and power dynamics. Now, I would be privy to say that you will also see mamas of color continue to thrive. You'll see us continue to thrive. You will see us continue to start businesses and have degrees and be, the best aunties and best community leaders. You will still see Black women show love and support and grace to each other and to their communities.
Well, I'm happy to hear that because it's a lot going on, and we know, especially with the Black maternal, mortality rate, how crazy it's already been. It's just definitely going to be a lot. Well, now I think it would be a great time to bring in our mama influencer, Randy Rosario Maples. Randy Rosario is an entrepreneur, best-selling author, and record executive from Detroit, Michigan, if you didn't already know that. And Randy is married and has 3 children. So we want to welcome you, Randy. How are you today?
Hey guys, I'm like, oh, I don't see my thing popping up on the side. I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
We are good, really good.
I've been doing this process of making my breast milk necklace for a few days now. And I realized I was sitting here. I'm like, oh, this would be the perfect time for me to finish it while I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah, go ahead and get that done.
Preserving the breast milk forever. It was such a journey.
Yes, I'm currently in that journey. I have a 1-year-old who just turned 1 in March, so we're still going strong. It is quite.
Congratulations. I
Thank
stopped it. I was
you.
like, oh, 12 months, you're out of here, bucko.
I know I said that, but then she's been so attached, and I'm just like, I kind of really do enjoy the bonding experience of it. It's something that's it's just incomparable.
Yeah. I
So yeah.
think I think the beneficial, I guess the only like bright side to the dark side, because I had my son early, he was a preemie. The bright side to that was although I decided to breastfeed, I mostly pumped. So it was real easy. We're like, hey, you're gonna get a little bit of this breast milk with a little bit of this almond milk, and you're gonna eventually move to this almond milk. It was easier for me, I think, and I think that's why though.
I will definitely um say that regardless, it's a beautiful experience, and fed is best, as we always say. So
A fed baby is the best baby. That's what
that is
matters.
it. That is it. So let's get into this Roe v. Wade fiasco. How do you feel about the Roe v. Wade reversal, and what do you think that really means for Black maternal health?
I mean, you want my politically correct answer or you want my real answer?
I want a mixture of both.
All right. Oh, you know me. Good. That's beautiful. I think I think it's really unfortunate that a group of old people who reproductive organs don't even work anymore have such an opinion on me and my vagina. I think it's insane, for real. I think it's absolutely insane. And I also think that they're not stopping anything. Like, people gonna figure out if we don't want to have babies, we gonna figure out how not to have babies. We can do it legally, like we've been doing it, or we can do it illegally and it still happen. And as far as the last part of your question in regards to African American women and how we're treated in the healthcare system, y'all treat dogs better than us anyway. So we don't lose nothing. If
Yeah.
anything, I feel like they just showed all women exactly how equal we are. And I don't want to make it complete. Well, this is a political show, but if anything, all of those women that voted for, who, Bucko, that one guy, you're shown exactly how much of a chess piece you were really used as and not actually cared about. Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry, because I think, at the end of the day, the best way to combat an issue and to be, really make people aware of it is to say, how you feel and what it really is.
And the
like
honest to God truth. Yeah.
like you said, Black women have, before the reversal, already experienced so much bias and racism when it comes to the medical field. I mean, I was literally just watching a video where a nurse said she put a Black patient on like a mental
On a psych watch for going like this.
Like, she has a
Like,
weave.
girl, you don't know that's our hair.
I was just like, that's why, oh my God, we need more people of color, specifically Black people in the medical industry who know things like that, because it's like you're looking at it like it's a she's off in the head. Her hair's just itchy. Like, that's all. But you
And
don't
you
know
have
that
no idea.
because you're not really, you don't know that. You're just ignorant to what's really going on, in other communities, what other, cultural practices are. And it's crazy. But okay, so let's, we'll move forward.
Oh,
So,
listen, we could stay there all day. I
right.
would love it.
It's so much to say, but I think the most powerful thing is you telling us about your abortion experience. I think that will really stick with everybody.
Okay, so let's have a coming to honesty moment here. Okay, we're gonna do vibe checks. First of all, I am a comedian and an author, so you guys bear with me because I make things lighthearted to make myself comfortable. Sorry. Um, so when you said talk about my abortion, I said, "Oh, which one?" And yeah, I had two, right? Vibe check. Remember, we make stuff lighthearted a little bit. I had two. When I was 17, after someone forcibly entered me and whatnot. And I had another when I was about 22, just going through life and experiences. And my fiance was killed by a drunk driver like a year and a half prior. And my footing was off. My footing was off when it came to life, especially relationships and men and whatnot, probably for like 8 or 9 years after that, for real. So when I think about the people that I was dealing with during those years where my footing was off, it's like, man, like I'm honestly thankful AF that I didn't have to think about, or my gripe wasn't, oh, I have to find someone and I have to do this. And my gripe wasn't that. It was simply like, I can, I'm choosing to do this. So this is what I want to do. And this is what I'm going to do. Like I said earlier, I know that people are going to be able to, we're going to be able to do what we're going to do regardless. Cause that's, we figure it out. That's what we do as people. But I feel when I first heard about Roe versus Wade being turned over, I thought about 16-year-old Randy. I thought about 16-year-old Randy who had to get a temporary guardian and go to court real quick. And the guardian went to court for me and basically got permission for me to be able to get a procedure done without my parents knowing about it, saying that I'm mentally sound enough to actually handle this and whatnot. And I think about how abandoned a 16 or 17-year-old, or how afraid they might feel right now. They might not know where to turn. They might not know, what's the most, what's the safest way to get this done? What's the most effective way to get this done? Like you said, right now in Michigan, things are still legal and whatnot, but I'm sure that's still scary. It's not like that everywhere. Some places went immediately, it went illegal,
Yeah.
So like I feel bad for girls that are in those states, or women that's in those states that may be in situations where they're like, yo, I'm stuck. I'm messed up right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I've seen so many stories from women who are currently pregnant who had plans, to get abortions for, to save their lives, to just make sure that they aren't, doing something they're not ready for all different reasons. And it was just on an immediate halt.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine, especially in a life-threatening situation, how that feels, to know that your options were just taken away. You no longer have control over your own body.
Yeah.
Like, it's it's crazy, but I thank you so much for being transparent and
Oh,
telling your
absolutely.
story, because it's definitely necessary. So many people are, so hush hush about it. They don't want to really talk about it. But the reality is that if people really, I feel, knew how much, this decision affects all women, they may, change their perspective. So thank you so much for that. But as a mama influencer, you have a big following. Why do you think it's important to, share your story?
Because somebody else is going through the exact same thing. or somebody else went through something and they're still trying to get through it. Someone else, if my situation can help anybody avoid going through something that I went through, I hope it do. You know what I'm saying? Like, even I just hope, even if it's one person, like seriously, it can be one. If one person is like, you know what, you talking to me about this really, you know, or you even like I've had situations where people will say, yo, you posted this video today and I was going to commit suicide today, and you saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
If that can help one person, I did my job.
Right. Right.
And there's nothing that I can, if I said it and it happened, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing that I can say to anybody that you can't, what you gonna use it against me? Oh, you had an abortion before. You only know that because I told you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So if I tell you my tea first, you can't nobody else tell you my tea.
And you can't use it against me because I said
Yeah,
it. Like, obviously,
I
I'm
said
okay
it.
with it.
I told you it.
Yeah. Yeah. Chanel, feel free to chime in, you know, like with how important telling our stories is. And I mean, you know, firsthand, I mean, I'm sure you've seen, you know, instances where people are thinking they're alone or maybe not feeling like, you know, like what they're going through is just something that is taboo, but it's not. So if you have any insight, yeah.
I mean, as a doula, I see it con- constantly. You know what I'm saying? Like every people situations vary. You know, like I have moms who the father is in jail, the father ain't there by choice, or maybe they don't want them to be. You know, it could be a violent situation, like any and everything up under the sun. And yes, a lot of times these people do feel alone. And even as a community health worker, that's another experience that I've had where people feel alone. And I'm like, you're not the only one, but I'm just one person telling them that they're not the only one. And that's why storytelling is important, because it's imperative that community voices be lifted. Like it's imperative because too many decisions are made because we don't say anything. Too many decisions are made on our behalf because of what somebody read in a book about us versus just asking us, or versus just popping on Randy Page and seeing her share her story. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to assume anything because I'm asking you directly how you feel, or I'm freely sharing my story. And sometimes we don't share our stories due to resistance, or because we worried about what other people gonna say. But what other people gonna do? As my mama say, they paying your bills, they helping you raise your kids. What are they doing so influential in your life that you feel is necessary to make a decision based on what somebody
Yeah.
else thinks?
And they words. Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And like just reiterated what Randy's saying, my story can help somebody else. Like representation matters so much, not just in these career spaces, not just in the healthcare system, but it just matters amongst us. Like it matters amongst our community of people. It matters that we share our stories.
I 100% agree. We need to have, you know, these places where people are able to come in and share their story and feel comfortable about it, not feel like they're going to be judged, not feel like people think they better than them or didn't do this or did do that. Like all of that's unnecessary, unneeded. No, thank you. So, what advice would you guys give to someone looking to be a mother or someone that's almost a mother currently in you know, experiencing pregnancy, for them to have a healthy pregnancy, you know, and postpartum journey right at this moment?
Okay, so the advice would be different. Let's start with the people that want to have babies.
Right.
How old are they?
um, let's just say
That's a
22.
valid question. Come on,
It,
Chanel.
it is. It
That's a
is.
valid question. Because if
It
she's
is
21,
most
I'm going to
definitely a
tell her,
valid
sis.
question.
If she's 21, I'm going to say, sis, wait it out, sis. Wait it out. Wait it out. If she's 31, I'm going to say, just knock it out. You got it. I believe in you. And if she's 41, I'm gonna say, sis, you are the GOAT. Okay, you are the GOAT. I respect and appreciate you, man. And if she's a surprise baby mom, that's a surprise baby pregnancy, is congratulations. I got a bag of clothes in my garage that you can have. And yeah, I mean, it depends. Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm a breastfeeding specialist. I can a lactation specialist. I can teach you some things on that. Congrats. I don't know. It depends.
I understand. Chanel, what would you say? Or would it be the same? Because I'm sure it is.
You know, I support everybody. But
I'm still the friend that's like, you maybe like, you pregnant. I'm like, so what we gonna do? Like, I'm still that friend. So I don't.
No, I completely understand that, Randy. You gotta like see where people like act like mentally, like
Yeah,
where are
before you jump into it. Like, so
yeah,
Yeah.
where are
Like,
you
how do you feel about
yeah,
it?
were we trying to do this?
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
how do you feel about being pregnant?
Yeah.
If it's a situation like, it is what it is, or we get to a point of acceptance. I always tell people, like, please utilize starting a village for yourself. Please, please, please figure out. I don't want you to figure out. Decide, choose, think heavily on what you want your village to look like and what do you need them for. And you might not know what you need them for because this might be your first child, and so you don't know what you actually need them for. But definitely utilize bringing a village together. Definitely utilize some type of support system at your doctor's visits. So whether that's a doula, whether that's a neighbor, whether that's a friend of the family, anything like that, utilize a person going to your appointments with you so
Yeah.
that they can help you advocate for yourself. They can help you use your voice to ask questions. Um, Never be afraid to question a physician about what they're saying. If they talking that doctor jargon around you, make sure you cut them and cut them off nicely and say, "Hey, I have no idea what you just said.
How
Can
the hell you
you?"
cut somebody off nicely?
I'd be like, "Hey, what?
Slow
Wait.
down.
I love black women. I love black women. I love black women. I
Like,
love
ask
us.
them. Don't be like. Let's be for real. We know how we're treated. So guess what? I'm aware of how you want to treat me, but guess what? You're not going to. And if you
Mhm.
think you're going to, I'm also well aware enough to know that I can go somewhere else. Like that, I don't have to. We don't have to have this relationship.
Mhm.
I can take my experience somewhere else where somebody's going to respect and honor how I feel and what I'm saying and what I want my birthing experience to look like. I really want Black women to know that you can definitely have the birthing experience you want. And birth is spontaneous, so it might get crazy, it might get wild, things might change, but initially, never be afraid to speak out. Like, they're not going to give us the information, y'all. I'm just telling
Mhm.
you, like, they're not going to give us the information. So we have to go find it. Unfortunately, we have to utilize Google. Like, we have to utilize. I know it might be traumatic, but go on YouTube, watch somebody give birth, watch a childbirth education class, utilize that phone, look it up. As Randy said, if you know somebody, throw it on Facebook. Like, hey, I need somebody to help me with breastfeeding. Throw it out there on Facebook. You'll be surprised who know who and who is experienced in what fields.
Yeah.
So I would say just utilize all of the, like, Black women are the queen of all. We're the queen of all things. Like, and we always figure it out, right? So
Every time.
that every time we figure it out. So this is not, none of this stuff is new to us. Like, we always gonna maneuver, we
Right.
always gonna maneuver, and we always gonna have a lane. So if you're pregnant or you're thinking about getting pregnant, just like I said, create you a village, have you a good support person or persons that will go to the doctor with you. I'm not trying to be funny, but never fully take in what the physician is saying. Like, take it in, process it. If you don't understand it, ask for them to break it down. And
Yeah.
if you want to go so far, ask them, can you see it in writing? Oh, well, you
Right.
can't do this. during your birthing experience. Oh, well, let me see that in writing, please.
Right. Who said that?
In writing. Read everything.
And don't let them tell you can't record during your birthing experience either.
Yes, exactly. Because they will make up stuff on the fly. Like, I'm just being
Mm,
honest. They will make up stuff on the fly and it's not in writing. I think I need to see this in writing in order to understand what you're saying. Or
Yeah.
is this what you're saying? Because that's what I heard. And if it's not, then you need to break it down to me. And if you're a physician and you can't break down to me what you just said, then I probably don't need to be here. Or you need to bring a nurse in. Somebody gonna have to explain something to me about why or why not.
yeah,
So
she knows
that
something. She knows something for sure.
Yeah. I 100% agree. I mean, just sharing my little experience when I gave birth. I mean, I was terrified. Like, my boyfriend could never go to the appointments with me because I mean it was still COVID. So I was just like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing the first time, mom. I don't know what to expect. I don't know all the questions to ask. So like my first thing was like, okay, my village thankfully was like really involved. Like, okay, let's get you a doula. They can come up with a list of questions that you need to ask, things you need to be mindful of. And so I know like that happened like mid pregnancy for me because that first half was kind of rough. Like the doctor that I did have just like left the hospital I was planning on giving birth at completely. So I was like, they just assigned some random, white man to that said he was gonna deliver my baby. I said, I've never seen this man before, and not like I don't want to meet the person who's gonna help me deliver my child the day I give birth. So I immediately was asking around. I need a black OB GYN, preferably. Found mine. She was absolutely amazing throughout the entire process. I mean, any question I had, everything. And I remember I was about 36 weeks and my baby was in the breech position. And so I was terrified because at first the hospital I was going to be giving birth at, they have like a really high C-section rate. And I was trying, not to go through that process
Mm-hmm.
unnecessarily. So thankfully, my doctor was like, okay, you heard of spinning babies? You better get that baby to flip and, do what you need to do. And lo and behold, my baby flipped right at 37 weeks. I was like, thank you, Lord. So happy for this. It was just an amazing experience. And that for me just shows like when you do have a network of people around you during that process that really care about you, care about the outcome, listening to what you want and the kind of birth experience you want, they're gonna try to do whatever they can to make it happen. So I would definitely, reemphasize what y'all said. Of course, whenever, whatever stage of life you're at or pregnancy you're at, think about, of course, what you really want, and then get a village that will advocate for you to do whatever you want to do, whether it's, have a baby young, have a baby, later in life, or get an abortion, whatever. People who will support you through that, and that's I think the best thing that I could advice I can give to anybody.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think um to kind of give a little bit more on mine, to
Mm-hmm.
give a little bit of information, like a little bit of my backstory, my birth story. Because my birth, I initially was like, oh, I'm gonna do a water birth. I'm gonna have a ball. It's beautiful. Yay!
I
Unicorns,
said that too.
unicorns and fairies. Yay! And it's funny that it's not funny, but it's kind of like that ironic moment that we're having a conversation about abortion and the
Mm-hmm.
reason why, although it's not scientifically proven, we kind of already gave our background knowledge on this. The reason why I went through some of the things that I went through in my pregnancy, in my opinion, was because of the fact that I had an abortion before. I had a
Mm-hmm.
procedure done called a cerclage, and basically I had to get this stitch put in my cervix because I was dilating, and my son was I was like 23 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to put a stitch in my cervix, and basically they were basically saying like that happens because your cervix is immeasurable. And I did my research. I talked to a few people that that's had to have one before too.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that I can come up with is when you've gone through abortions or miscarriages in the past, your body may think that it's time to reject your baby around the
Mm-hmm.
same time or the same way that it did before. And because of what happens when they force you to go into labor and dilate when it comes to getting an abortion, I think that has something to do with how things worked out in the future, with it being immeasurable and things like that. I wouldn't
Mhm.
change anything though, because it is what it is and life happens. I
Right.
still would have done everything the way I did it.
Right.
That being said, um, after I had to get the cerclage, my entire birthing plan changed. So I was going to a midwife before, and then when they saw that I was dilated 2 centimeters, they're like, "Oh, you got to go to a OBG, you got to go to a doctor." But the communication, the like, it legit was like, "Oh, you can't come to us no more. That's it." Like there was no phone call, no follow up, no, hey, this is when you have to get the. I had to get the procedure done the next day. Like it was
Right.
like, hey, we got to get this done. Um, but the way I advocated for me and my son, I was so proud of that. Like I was so proud of myself for asking questions because I grew up. I mean, I'm spicy. You guys know this.
You're
Um, so of course I'm going to ask all the questions I want to ask because gosh darn it, it's my body.
right.
But I was very proud of the way I asked questions and just all around just just wanted to talk to them and wanted to know what was going on for real. Like I was really impressed with that. And I urge any mother to just ask those questions. If you got a question, ask it. It's absolutely okay to ask the question. And if you feel uncomfortable, I ended up switching health systems completely when that happened.
Mhm.
Like I was like, oh, y'all want to act like this over here at okay, cool. Beaumont, here I come. And had a beautiful experience, even though I was in the hospital for a week because my water broke when I was 31 weeks. And I was in the hospital for a week. I ended up going into full blown labor at 32 weeks. And my experience was still a beautiful one for real. My
Mhm.
son had to be in NICU for 3 weeks, but we got through it, and we did that. So I'm proud of it.
You should be. That is an amazing experience. Definitely commendable for sure. So, I want to just ask this question. Chanel, with Mothering Justice or any organization, or for anybody who's interested, what would you say? How can someone get involved with us or with any other organization out there if they want to fight for abortion access, reproductive rights, and just overall better maternal health care for women of color, but specifically Black mothers of color?
Woo. That's a loaded question.
I know.
Okay, first, I would say if you want to get into some advocacy work, I would say definitely reach out to MJ, to Mother and Justice. Just hit us up on our website, and we are partnered with so many other orgs in the state, and actually nationally now. So we can get you directed to a specific org depending on what your interest is. Like if you're
Mhm.
not, interested specifically in one of our agendas, but something maybe similar, we definitely can hook you up and find a spot for you somewhere else. um, when it comes to supporting uh, birthing people, or well, first, when it comes to supporting people who would like to utilize abortion procedures, there are several organizations across the state who are crowdfunding or have specific funds dedicated to those who are like experiencing a financial strain um,
Mhm.
to pay for their procedure. Um, Also, there are several organizations that are paying for transportation because Michigan does not do uh, every procedure. There are some procedures that people request that we don't do in Michigan, so they will have to travel anyway over to
Mhm.
another state to get it done. But like I stated, like YWCA of Kalamazoo is just one of those ideal orgs who is paying for funding and other things. But definitely look it up and definitely make sure it's legit. So reach out to them via email or by phone. Check out their Facebook pages. We got Reproductive Rights for All. We have Michigan Voices. Like we have so many organizations that are in that space and geared towards change and policy work and funding work around those who would like to utilize the abortion procedure. Now, when it comes to advocating for Black birthing people, how do you get involved? Number one, open your mouth. Well, number one, open your mouth. Those who have had the experience already, reiterate, share your story. And I want to let Black women know, I'm glad Randy said that it was still a beautiful experience, even though it didn't go as she planned, because I think that society tries to scare us, Black women, into not having children or wanting to have children, or lead us to believe that every time we have a kid or somebody we know has a child, that is going to be this traumatic experience and it's going to
Yeah.
be horrid and terrifying and all this stuff, and it's not like that.
Hmm.
And but that's why it's important to share your story. That's why it's important to share your story. One of my children my last child I had, I got lightheaded and I passed out and I had a blood transfusion. I didn't even know until I woke up.
My goodness.
I had no idea, y'all. It was crazy because when I woke up, I felt fine. I was just like, I took a nap. My ex-husband was like,
Right.
"Oh, you
You
passed, you
like
passed out, home girl. What you talking about?"
right.
So even though that happened, it was so weird because it was like I don't remember, so it's almost like I never even wanted to say it because I don't recall it happening. But it was still a great experience. Like I wasn't in
Mhm.
labor long, I didn't push long. I got a beautiful big old baby. Got a beautiful 9-year old daughter now. So things like that, like just sharing storytelling is important. But for those that for real want to advocate and be a change agent when it comes to these things, you
Gotta
have
make
to.
sure that
I know we don't like politics sometimes, but this mother injustice, you got to vote. And I'm talking about you got to vote in your local elections. You have to vote in your local elections. And I know everybody have their own feelings about voting, but voting locally is important. Who you have in office in your city is important. Translates to who you have statewide, which is just as important. Please vote in your local elections. That's number one.
Detroit is August 2nd.
Thank you, Randy. August 2nd, please go vote. If you don't know where your polling station is, please get on your smart device.
Man, listen, if you don't know where your polling station is, just DM me or ask me. I will find out for you, baby. Because I can't afford to have no more extremely conservative people in office. Just
I
as
know.
however I can assist you
no.
and help make sure you can vote, please hit me up.
There's so
Please.
many resources, y'all. It's so many. I mean,
So
if you
many.
have a smartphone, you pretty much got the world at your hands. So utilize it, please. We need y'all to
Please,
vote.
please, please. Yes. And it's there are more orgs that are it's so many black women led orgs that are centered and geared towards change and equitable policy
Mm-hmm.
for black birthing people.
Mm-hmm.
If you need like a big scope, go to Black Mamas Matter Alliance.org. They have kindred partners and they have a list of folks in every single state that you can get involved in. And I would say partner up if you know any birth workers or midwives. We have what we call community midwives, community doulas
Hmm.
that are very personable on Facebook and Instagram that you can shoot messages to. You can ask questions that will help you navigate. We are partnered with Birth Detroit. We love Birth Detroit. That's one of our partners here. They're a prenatal clinic right in the Fitzgerald area, um, and hopefully they'll become Detroit's first standalone birthing center in a few years. We
Hmm.
hope. That's another place to partner with. They have volunteer opportunities all the time. But y'all, we've been fighting this fight since we got here. Like, I'm not trying to be funny, but we've been fighting this fight for a very long time. Our maternal health and our reproductive justice has always been challenged, taken or stolen from us some kind of way. We've always been met with resistance, but we continue to persevere and we will continue to persevere. But that doesn't negate the fact that we need people to be involved in and persevering, because people gonna keep peopling and government gonna keep governmenting, because I'm gonna try to keep it clean. Government. So in the meantime, we have to do what's best for us as a culture and as a people. And that looks like building community. That looks like becoming more aware of the issues. And if you don't understand the things that are on the ballot, and if you don't understand the issues, please ask somebody. Like, let's not be embarrassed no more, because y'all, we not gonna get nothing done being embarrassed and being quiet. Like, we gotta speak up. We gotta use our voices. We gotta utilize what we do have. So if that's voting right now, then we gotta utilize voting before they take that away. If we gotta utilize voting right now in local, and somebody put it in the chat, like the presidential race, that's not where it's at. City, local, that's first. Start where you at, where your home is first.
Yes, I 100% agree. Plug this in here for Detroit. Follow MJ Action Fund. We're going to get y'all together, posting information about the election. So there y'all go. Follow MJ Action Fund. But I just want to thank you guys so much for joining Mama Wire today. Thank you, Chanel, for being a champion and holding MJ out always when it comes to the maternal health and reproductive justice. And Randy, thank you so much again for sharing your story, coming, being transparent, and just really giving us that experience today. We appreciate you giving us your time, and we definitely look forward to collaborating with you in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank y'all. All right, y'all. Okay. So we appreciate y'all much. We appreciate y'all so much for being here for such a necessary conversation right now. I just want to lift again our upcoming events one more time. So please join us July 20th for our Plants to Policy event and July 26th for the Care Collective meeting. We would love to see your beautiful faces and have you guys support. Lastly, if you don't already, please follow our social media accounts. We are at Mothering Justice on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and then at Mom Justice on Twitter, and then visit us at motheringjustice.org. Also, want to remind y'all again to vote. We want some more information, follow MJ Action Fund. And thank you guys so much for joining, and have a wonderful evening.